to welcome my next guest, who I've known for quite some time now. Almost 7 years, I think. Yeah, 7 years. So I'm going to invite her onto my screen so you can say hello to her. It is my editor, Harriet Bourton, coming to my... Yes, I've done it right. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Cathy. Hi, everyone.
How is working from home going this morning? Oh, you don't work on Friday?
I mean, today I'm not working. So actually, like, either side of my screen right now is a pile of washing and a pile of washing up. So
well,
that
to be
is
honest,
how.
that's standard for every day right now, isn't it? I don't think I've ever cleaned so much in my life.
No, but more now than ever, it feels like what you see on screen is a sort of depiction of your reality, when actually off screen is total mayhem. You know, I look together and like I've got clean hair and a clean top on, but I'm still wearing my pajama bottoms. So
nothing new there, really, is there?
No. Rarely get out of them before 12 p.m. these days.
I'm not. I come down in the morning and I always do about an hour's work in my dressing gown and my nightie with my first coffee. Yeah, with my coffee of the day, first coffee. And then I go back upstairs and shower and do all of that. But I always when the house is quiet, I can get an hour, just ease myself into the day. So I quite like that. But that's my normal work day. So that's fine for me.
I think I would like that. But that hour between 6 and 7 a.m. seems to be the time that I sleep most deeply.
Really?
And so I'm very reticent. Yeah, I'm like out like a log at that time of the morning. Getting up is hard.
Yeah. It seems to be that.
So I've trained the kids not to leave their beds too early.
That's good. That's good. When Lenny's old enough for an alarm clock, you'll have to set it to the wrong time, and then give it him.
I actually already do that.
Good plan.
Don't tell him. And how are you?
Oh, I'm really well. I'm enjoying being able to do a bit of work outside. I don't do a lot outside because it's too bright, but I do try and get outside for a little bit of the day, which is really nice. I'm just in that. I'm doing the accounts for the end of year and all that sort of stuff, the boring admin stuff, because just finished a manuscript, as you know, sent it off your way.
I do. It's in my lucky possession.
So so I don't have to actually sit and write every day at the moment. So that's quite nice. So I usually use this time of year in the writing schedule to catch up with all my admin. So that's what I'm doing. So that's quite nice. And I've got all the family here. Extended family. So
you've got a full house, haven't you?
Yeah, so it's every dinner is like cooking for Christmas dinner. It's so massive. It's like all the plates, all the pans, it's like the dishwasher.
Are they good at clearing up there? Are they all doing their bit?
Oh, absolutely. They're absolutely brilliant. Yeah, in fact, one of them keeps saying, "Is there anything I can clean?" Like, yes, there is. Here's a cloth. It's great.
Let me just get out the list.
Yeah. So no, I'm very lucky. They're really good. I mean, Tony's shielding in the garage, so he's doing less jobs, but he's being able to work outside and do gardening jobs because of the sun. So, but he's carrying on working as normal.
Yeah.
So he's fine. He's working from home.
And so if you all have dinner in the garden, can he join you, but just sit down the other end of the table?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. Okay. While it's been nice. So last night we had a barbecue, which was rather nice, and he sat and barbecued with us.
Haven't we been lucky with the weather? I feel like the gods at least knew that if we were all going to be stuck at home, the least they could do is to give us glorious sunshine to take the edge off.
Really nice. It does. I mean, we're lucky we've got a big garden, and you've got a garden as well that you can get out into. So it does really help, I think.
I really do feel for those who haven't got any outside space at all. I think that must be just a whole other experience. And we've started trying to pretty the garden up a bit, and actually what we've now got is like half a dozen empty pots because the plants that were in them were dead from last year. So we should do a garden centre order or something like that.
I think a lot of them are doing deliveries, aren't they, which is great. Our local one is.
It is amazing how many businesses have adapted really to work to a completely different model that they've never had to before. books.
It's amazing.
It's been very very encouraging in that way.
So.
Yeah.
So
and I think
no,
oh, sorry, go on.
You think what? I'm always interested.
I was just going to say that that there's also all sorts of nice initiatives happening for those that everyone's so keen to thank, particularly our NHS workers, and you yourself are involved in having a patchwork family book out in the collection of books that any NHS worker can download for free. So if anyone does know an NHS worker who's watching this, or in fact is an NHS worker, then they should hop on to your Twitter feed
or my Facebook,
and look for the post.
Yeah, there's a post on my Facebook author page which gives you access to that. So essentially you just click through the link, put in your NHS address, and then you get through to another website and you can choose a free ebook. And there's quite a few to choose from, aren't there?
Loads. Yeah,
loads for all sorts of genres, and a patchwork family is there too. And I've already had a couple of NHS workers say that they've downloaded it and that they're very
terrific. That's so nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's great. So it's definitely working. So yeah. Anyway, so we were going to talk about the fact that you're a very lucky person because you are my editor. Your cup overflowing.
Privileged.
Yeah, privileged. And yeah, I thought it'd be nice to just tell people a little bit about that author-editor relationship, and you know, and how, and also to know a little bit about being an editor as well, which I thought would be quite nice. So yeah, so we met. Well, you emailed me, didn't you? Or you messaged me December 2013.
Yeah.
Or was it January?
I'd spotted you. Yeah, you'd spotted you on the Twitter sphere.
Yeah. I just self-published my first book, and I was planning on, you know, trying to get a traditional deal thereafter. But you preempted that, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. I had no idea, but I had seen Conditional Love being tweeted about by some of the bloggers that I followed, and you were, you know, I was aware of lots of authors who were self-publishing at that point. You kind of got a handle quite quickly on those who were like coming at it from a really professional angle, and I was really impressed by your marketing, unsurprisingly, because your background was in marketing, as it turned out, and your cover and the title and the hook of the book. And then I read the book and I thought, oh, this woman is a brilliant writer. And I'd had a little idea up my sleeve that I'd been kind of nurturing about working with someone to write a book in serial parts. And I sent you a Twitter DM, which can be a bit like in your face, but that was all the only way I could figure out.
I don't mind a bit of in your face.
Yeah, depending on who's getting in your face. And then we began. I still remember we had that first conversation on the phone, and I kind of burbled out the half-formed idea that I had, and you just seized upon it immediately. And well, I think within the conversation, you'd expanded it into what Ivy Lane became, which was a really gorgeous 4-part serialization, with each part set around a season on an allotment in a small community of all different characters and people from walks of life. Very, very funny, very charming, but really moving and sweet as well. And it blossomed into something far superior to, you know, even the initial seeds of idea I'd had very early on. And to date, it is one of the most the publications I'm most proud of. Working with that launch of Ivy Lane with you. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well, it was. We've got a bit of feedback there. Have you? A little bit of feedback. I'll talk gently. Yeah, so it was. Something that I'd had an idea to write some short stories set on an allotment, but then I put it to one side because I thought I don't really like short stories. I don't know why I'd do that. So I put it to one side, and then when you were looking for serial, and initially you'd said you wanted something every month, I was like, oh God, I can't do that. So I thought, how about a seasons. There's 4 of those. And you went, oh, yes. And I remember telling you a little bit about Ivy Lane, which I'd really just thought up an hour before our phone call. And you cried. I was so proud I'd made you cry.
To be honest, it doesn't actually take a lot, but yes, it was a good moment.
Yeah, I was like, I made her cry. And you were like, oh, that's so lovely. I thought, yep, we're on to a winner here. If I can make her cry, it'll make a good
On the
book.
phone.
Yeah. So that sort of became my benchmark then. Whenever I told you a story over the phone, if I could make you cry, I knew.
Yeah, and if I remained dry-eyed, you were like, oh, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. What was the next one I made you cry about? Oh, Appleby Farm. I made you cry about Appleby Farm.
Yeah. I mean, your books, I think what your books do so brilliantly in all of them is that there's a real lightness of touch and humour and people getting into funny situations, and there's always lots of lulls. But there's always a character with a particularly sort of tragic backstory or going through something that feels quite hard hitting, and I think you managed to tackle the light and the dark with such an easy touch that you can really relish the comfort of the humour, but you can also engage with that emotional core as well. With some
I think that's what I set out to do.
That's a lovely palette.
Yeah, that's what I set out to do, because there's no point going through pretending that life is all sweetness and light. There are peaks and troughs, and I don't avoid difficult subjects in my books. I like to tackle the tough bits. I mean, I'm really looking forward to when you read my new manuscript, because I've made something happen to one of the characters that is just so awful. It's just like, oh, you're going to be quite shocked, I think.
But you can't wait. You can't wait for me to read it.
Yeah, because it's different from the synopsis I gave you. I can't wait. So
it's always different from the synopsis.
I remember one of your first emails to me about, I think it was the Plumbury School of Comfort Food, and you said, it's charming. It's very different from the synopsis you gave me.
Yeah, I've learned since then.
It's the same title, but a completely different story. But yeah. Well, the thing is, as you write, you sort of more ideas come to you and characters unfold, and you think, no, that's a much better
they take on a life of their own, don't they?
Definitely.
And I think to try to enforce an author to stay within the parameters of a synopsis that they've outlined when it's purely an abstract idea and not a real book on the page is a futile exercise, really. And you'll probably get a lesser book out of them by trying to get them to stick to an original plan.
Yeah.
Waiting and seeing what how the book unfolds naturally.
At the end of the day, I still like to, the book will still end up delivering the same, overall story.
Exactly.
But it's how the main character gets to that end point. That's,
Yeah. The destination may remain the same, but the journey can be very different.
That's like our lives at the moment, isn't it? Metaphor for life. Current journey.
Yeah, talk about rolling with the punches and not sticking to a plan. Here we all are living that out.
Yeah. So listen,
I think most editors are very drawn to plans and structure and strategy, and so it's a funny mix of knowing when to be rigid about something and knowing when to be flexible as well.
What drew you to being an editor?
A boy. Of course it was a boy. Oh God, he was it was when I was at university. His name was Matt. He actually wrote a book which Orion, who I work for now, published before I got there, so I won't name him in case, I don't know, this got back to him, it would be a bit embarrassing, but Matt ran the university newspaper and was on my English course, and he had a head of wild, dark, curly hair, great big green eyes, and he was just gorgeous. And I thought, well, I'll volunteer to work on the university newspaper, and then maybe he'll notice me and we'll fall in love and it'll be wonderful. And so I did get a job on the university newspaper as the performing arts editor, like
jazz hands.
I can do this. Sure, I can do this. I don't rarely go to the theatre and don't really know anything about music, but sure, I can give this a whirl. Art, sure. I've got a print on my wall, and then I met his very beautiful Parisian girlfriend, and realised I needed a new plan. And I thought, well, I'm here now. I might as well make a go of it. And while on the newspaper, I learned some skills about editing. I learned how to make an article interesting. It had to have a really strong opening, and it had to have a good hooky title, and it had to tell a good story and end in a satisfying way. And I thought, oh yeah, I like this. And I didn't do literature at university. I did English language, so I was already very interested in grammar and structure of the English language and what it can do. And so I came at it from a slightly different angle, but I also did film. And I've just always loved storytelling and thinking about storytelling and observing how storytelling can really affect people and how important it is, what a sort of vital part of society storytelling is, and how it's sort of hidden in lots of different places as well. I've always found interesting. And so I came out of university and I thought, well, I don't want to be a journalist because that's just cutthroat and I think that's not who I am. But I met a woman who was running an MA course, and so I did an MA in publishing and met some people who worked in publishing and did a work placement. And about 2 years later, it took quite a long time, I managed to wangle an interview to be the editorial assistant for Jane Morpeth, who at the time was the managing director of Headline. She needed an assistant. And it was sort of a blend of a job. It was half PA, half editorial assistant. And I just thought, well, just get in there. And it was kind of, that first day on the job, it was like love at first sight. I just knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. And I got a great experience working with Jane of kind of really seeing the behind the business, the back end of the business, I suppose, the financial structure, how a business ran. I got to take minutes in the big board meetings, which I found fascinating. And I began to learn a lot about publishing strategy, as well as the creative side of coming up with titles and briefing covers. And it was, I look back on those first years of my career and I think, what a blast I had. That was amazing. I probably learned more in those first 5 years than I've learned in the last 5 years.
Let's not say that. So what's your favourite bit of publishing, would you say? What's your favourite bit of publishing?
Reading a manuscript when someone delivers you a new manuscript, and you already work with them, so you've kind of got a feeling of what's coming, but it's always going to be a surprise. I love settling down and diving into those first few pages. That's always a really great moment. And the obvious things like publication day, when you get to go into a shop and you see the book you've worked on for so long on the shelves for the first time. And then that was such a proud moment a couple of weeks ago when we got to celebrate a patchwork family getting to number 5. What a triumph.
Yeah,
congratulations.
I did a little video for you, a little dance.
That was I know, everyone was delighted. I did send that around the company.
That's fine. I thought you would. Right. Yeah, thought you would. Yeah, well, I just thought,
everyone loved
put
it.
A smile on everyone's face, let everyone know how happy I was to get into the Sunday Times with the Patchwork Family. It was amazing.
It was a real success, and for an editor, I think that's always really sweet, because part of your job, of course, is working on the book itself and doing the editing and seeing it through to finish stage, but you're also a project manager, so you're liaising with the sales team, with the art team when you're doing the cover, with the publicity team, with the marketing team, you know, it's sort of pulling together all of these different factions of the machine into one streamlined effort. And that is definitely a part of the job I really enjoy as well, because well, I don't want to use the B word. I'm directive. I'm naturally directive. And so that side of it serves me well. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah. Good. Well, I think that's given us a very good insight into your job and into our relationship.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah. And we've gone right.
Yeah.
This is the longest chat I've done. Look, now, isn't that a surprise? Right, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me.
All right,
it's been
then.
really, really great. I think people would be really interested.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Right, bye then.
Bye.
Oh, Harriet Bourton there, my editor from Orion. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to be back soon with more of your favourite authors. So take care. Bye.